Let's talk about this warning to our women. And now, please, ladies and gentlemen, please don't just listen to this. Take it in, absorb it, and then share it. Don't forget it. Talk about it from time to time, because this keeps happening. And the reason it keeps happening is because of what we were talking about last week and what we started off the show today talking about briefly. Many years ago, the first time I saw this happen was when Facebook was still brand new. What the anti-whites will do is they, again, like I said at the beginning, where I was so impassioned about all of these idiots that argued against me 15 years ago when I was saying we need community, we need to build community, here are my ideas. And they said, no, we need just an endless recitation of facts and data. We need politics or violence or hiding. That's what we need to survive. The anti-white elites know what I've been arguing for a great many years. And me and as I say, one of the people who joined me, Alex, who I won't say his last name, many years ago. And that is community. The anti-white elites know it's community. What do you need to have to be able to build community? You can't just have the men with the women too fearful of participating. There are just as I absolutely reject. And by the way, the same thing holds true for our seniors. We don't label our seniors boomers here. We don't do any of that garbage. And this is nonsense. Dividing us up into these different age groups. It is stupidity in the extreme. We need community. And to have community, that means we need to have our women participate. We need to have our seniors participate. We need to have our young participate. We need everyone to participate. Now, what I was about to say is I totally reject this idea that because these meetings are in the white positive sphere are almost always 100% men, that our women, that white women don't care about Western civilization or their children or the future of our people. Bravo, Sierra. They absolutely care. And you know what? They better care, because the hand that rocks the cradle decides what's going to happen for civilization. So if they're not caring, then something has to happen. But I will tell you this, they do care. They are afraid to come out. They are afraid to come to the meetings. They're afraid to speak in these live chats. They're afraid to start channels. And I'm not talking about these ugly slang terms that are just these nets that are cast broadly for if a woman starts making content and a guy, or who knows what it is, it could be a female anti-white in a basement in, I don't know, some Semitic city, posing as a male, as a white positive male, and then they're slandering her with this thought term. Anybody who uses that garbage, that's just disgusting. You should stand, you should, if the woman is not a merchant, if she's not just a dilettante that has come on the scene to make herself money by repeating what people like myself, Colette and Jared George, everybody else is saying, if she's not one of those, and it should be obvious, don't allow people to talk to these women that way. We need our female content producers, because they're going to bring more of our women. Our women are going to see, look, we're welcomed. We can participate. We're not going to be destroyed by society if we participate. So since we need women to have a community, what the anti-whites do, the anti-white elites, recognizing what I recognized a long time ago, that we need community to cripple us and prevent us from having community, they go after the women that participate, because they know by nature, on average, just as men are taller than women, women are shorter than men on average, women are going to be easier to scare off than our guys. So they target them. It's also a little easier in this respect to target them in this way. And what they do, what they did when Facebook was done, was the biggest time I ever saw it done. But it, as I say, it keeps happening on all of these different platforms, is a guy will show up. You'll believe that it's the guy in the message. And really, these photographs are almost assuredly stolen from different Facebook accounts, stolen from different places. Now, that's not to say that there aren't white men who are anti-white, or white men who are being paid for their photographs or videos of them or something of this nature. That could be happening. But essentially what happens is these men are pretty. They don't show up ugly. That's not how this works. Pretty men will show up, and they will begin talking to these women who think they have a chance with a pretty man. And they'll say, well, there's something special about you. You have a really great personality. They'll get to talking with each other. The woman will say embarrassing things because she believes it's going to be a private conversation forever. She may share embarrassing photographs because she thinks those embarrassing photographs are going to be private forever. And then once the anti-white has acquired that information, as well as identifying information, like where she lives, what her phone number is, what her real name is, these sorts of things, then the anti-white, and this is an enormous thing that happens and continues to happen. Then the I can't believe, and the reason why it's not spoken about is because the victims, this is worse, far worse than rape. How many of the victims of rape never admit to being raped? This is far worse. There should be a name for this because of how widespread it is. And nothing is said about it. I'm like one of the few who bother to mention this and try to warn our women. They then reveal to the lady, by the way, Jane, or whatever your name is, the guy is really an anti-white. And if you continue to support or be white positive, or continue in the white positive sphere, continue to espouse these white positive positions, why the anti-white is going to reveal those lewd conversations, potentially, those potentially lewd photographs, or just private photographs. Nobody wants their, whether they're lewd or not, photographs revealed to the world if they don't want them out there. And your home information. I will put that out on the internet. And this is a funded, concerted effort because it happens the same way again and again and again. They know exactly what they're doing. It is a strategy that is employed over and over. So it's not chance. So by the way, we will reveal all of your private information, and folks will know where to find you. And then they'll say to the woman, which is a lot less scary than it is for a man, they'll come to your house. They're going to come bang on your door. They're going to come destroy your car. They're going to haunt you. They'll come at work. And then everybody at work will find out. And that's so important for a woman to be accepted, her views to be accepted everywhere she is, far more so than it is a man. There are exceptions, but on the average, far more so for a woman. And then the woman goes dark. We never hear from her again. She doesn't report it. She doesn't tell the community. She just disappears and then never online speaks about anything white positive again. What an absolute disgrace that this is happening. And we are not talking about it more regularly. We are not warning our women more often. Now, see, this doesn't work for our young men in the way that it works for our young women. Our young men, if a beautiful woman, far more attractive than we are as guys, shows up and we're not rich and she's far more beautiful than we are, and she is saying how wonderful we are and how we're something special about us and really likes X, Y, or Z about us, we are immediately aware that something isn't right. She's a sex worker, or that's not the real person, or we just know right away. So they don't use this strategy against our young men. It is entirely focused at our young and women of any age. But there was what was it? How many months ago was it? We had another slew of women on Instagram, one of whom was even married. And I guess the marriage was not what she wanted it to be, or whatever. She wasn't moral enough, or whatever. Or the husband was a monster. Who knows? But a slew of our women on Instagram ended up having these conversations with pretty men, revealing photos, lewd text messages, all of this, phone numbers, and then the hammer comes down. Get out of the white positive sphere, never participate again, or all of this, and your home address, everything's going to be revealed. So, still happening. Another woman victimized. She doesn't seem like she's the type that is going to be easily intimidated, but I can't say for sure. I don't know. But this is what's happening. This is how they drive our women off, one woman at a time. And let me tell you, I mean, they could have, you can see these, imagine these offices, people being paid a regular salary. I don't know, maybe it's all telecommuting, and who knows, maybe they have 10, maybe they have 20 different accounts of guys. They identify women, and it's all very hush hush. It's all very quiet. It's all very embarrassing. Think about how poisonous this is. It is insidious. So let's talk about it. It's the only way that we're going to be able to put an end to it. Do not fall for this, ladies. If a guy writes you, or if you see a guy and you end up stepping on that landmine and he is better looking than you are, then know that it's not real. Know that this is an anti-white. He's going to tell you, or she even behind the male pictures, is going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, that you're special, something different about you. And then you're going to be had. So let's talk about this regularly, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, maybe we got to make a term for it. Let somebody come up with a term for this that's good, and then we'll stick with it. But we need to be talking about this more often. Because it is absolutely eviscerating. It is gutting the white positive sphere of our ladies. How many women right now are listening to this live or in replay that have had this happen to them that will never speak up again for the lifelong fear, never participate again, for the lifelong fear that if the anti-whites who threatened her, that did this to her, that victimized her this way, that if they saw her and noticed her, saw she was participating again, that she would be ruined. How much quieter will she be if she was married when she did this? So let's stand up for our women. Let's throw the shield up. Let's talk about this abuse of white women in the white positive sphere. Let's get a name for it so that we all know what we're talking about, and that we can spread this to the broader white positive sphere and put an end to this injurious, this absolutely insidious victimization of our ladies. And just the last thing I'll say, and I'll look at your thoughts, and then we'll wrap up with a couple more of the thoughts here. I want you to think for a moment. Put yourself in the shoes of these young ladies. Yes, I know that the original error, for most of them, I'm not saying for all of them, they're making the original error when they believe the impossible, or I guess it's not totally impossible. I mean, I guess they are very often, unfortunately, getting the attention and into the beds of these very pretty men for a week, a month, a day, an hour, 5 minutes, 6 months, who knows? So I guess when the very pretty guy shows up, they think, well, this is going to be a continuation. Maybe this will be the one that marries me, and he's Mr. Prince Charming, and everything will be perfect, and then I'll have this beauty for the rest of my life. But put yourself in the shoes of one of these women, and here you have this guy shows up. He's very pretty. He's saying these wonderful things that you want to hear. You start having an emotional connection. You have conversations. He encourages conversations that, if were revealed later, would humiliate you. Photographs that, if revealed later, would humiliate you. Private information about where you live. And then suddenly he writes you and says, and, you know, writes the young woman, put yourself in that position, writes her and says, by the way, all of this has been fake. I have all of your info. I have your nude photographs. I have these lewd conversations about your sexual proclivities. And I'm going to show the world if you don't disappear. Tell me that wouldn't scare the hell out of you to be in that shape. Tell me how that would feel like rape, I would imagine. That would feel like you had been absolutely just, your entire dignity ripped from your core. Are we going to let this continue to happen?